Thank you. Yeah, the most often question I get is, why are you doing this again? And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But first, let me welcome you to Los Angeles. After weeks and weeks of rain, you brought sunshine. Thank you very much. I joined CFT in 1967 when I first started teaching in Compton. That was 48 years ago. Oh, no, that was your 48th birthday. It was actually longer ago than that. Oh, my God. But I was a member of the Compton Federation of Teachers all while I was teaching in Compton for about 16 years. And I joined again when I taught a year in Los Angeles after I left being on the school board. But mostly I want to welcome you to Los Angeles because I think that CFT teachers and teachers in general represent where we are going in this country with respect to children and youth. You know, for a very, very long time, children and youth were just not on anybody's agenda. And you know how you could tell. We spend so little money on them. We've decided that we can just get by with whatever we need, about $12,000 a year. $12,000 a year. Imagine that. New York's spending $22,000 a year. Okay? Massachusetts, $24,000. Delaware and Rhode Island, about $24,500. What do they know that we don't know? Well, they know that they don't need a 2/3 vote to raise taxes. That's what they know. But we now have 2/3 vote in both houses, don't we? So why am I running for school board at this time? I'm running for school board at this time because the inspiration of teachers all over the country and in really red states like Oklahoma and West Virginia going out on strike and saying, yeah, we need more pay and we need better working conditions, but we need you to invest again in the children of our states. And that's got to be the message of California. I remind people that after you say the United States and China and Japan and Germany, if California were a nation, we would be the 5th richest nation in the entire world. Therefore, it is virtually a shame of the greatest depth that this state is 43rd or 45th, depending on which system you use, in our per pupil contribution to kids. Most young people here do not remember before Proposition 13, but I want to make a little description for you, okay? I went to UC Berkeley before Proposition 13 and paid no tuition. Zero, nada, rien, nothing. All of the folks that I knew at Cal State paid zero, nada, rien, nothing. The community colleges were entirely free with grants to help you live while you went to community colleges that you didn't have to repay. How far have we come? There was never a question in my schools here in Los Angeles County whether we'd have a nurse. Well, we didn't wake up and say, gee, do we think there'll be a nurse today? No, there was a nurse every day. We didn't worry about whether there'd be a librarian or a counselor or class sizes of about 30 to 1 or less if you were really behind. We didn't worry about any of that because before Proposition 13, this state decided it was important to invest in children and youth. And that's how this state became the prosperous state it is today. So my message is very clear in my campaign. It is time to say to the legislators in Sacramento, many of whom I still know and a lot of whom have endorsed my campaign, thank very much. I want to say to them one simple message, one very simple message. You have 2/3 in the Senate. You have 2/3 in the Assembly. You have a Democratic governor. If you do not raise taxes on the wealth of this state now, when you have this opportunity, we will find a Democrat to run against you. So here's what I'm asking. I'm asking you to make the first Friday of every month visit your assembly and state senator wherever you live in California and deliver the same message. And if they don't get it, then we'll do it the first and second Friday of every month. And if they still haven't gotten it, we'll move to the first, second, and third Friday of every month. And if they still don't get it, we will go every Friday. So how many of you are willing to join me in the Friday Meet the Legislators? All right, there we go. I believe we just have to give them the courage, whether they are in Fresno, as we just talked about, or whether they're in Los Angeles. They need to know that this state has 150 billionaires living in it. You know that? The most of any state. We have literally thousands of multimillionaires living in this state. This state is so rich that it could be first in the country in per pupil expenditure, get rid of all tuition at state colleges and UC and CSU, and still have the kind of reserve it has right now if it were only willing to tax the wealth of the wealth in this state. So basically, my campaign is about two things. It's about first saying that public education, last institution in America where every child who walks through the door is welcome. And not just as long as they're doing okay and then we're going to push them out, but forever they're welcome. And they're welcome, and we're going to keep trying until we get enough money to make sure that all of them can be fully educated. It is not enough to have good teachers, which we already have. We have to have smaller class sizes. And you know how we know we have to have smaller class sizes? Because if the people paying $45,000 a year for private schools get 12 students to 1, with the children who are born into the most advantaged families in our society, you know if it takes a 12 to 1 for them to get a good education, then it takes a 8 to 1 for our kids to get a good education. Now, I'm not advocating that we get 8 to 1, although I'd like to see it. But I am advocating that we try to get some kind of notion that there will be a maximum statewide class size for all children who are on free and reduced lunch. That's something that we could probably do, but it's going to take all of us doing it. It is time for us to stop accepting as normal and reality the deplorable conditions in our schools. We have accepted it much too long, even though we fought it, but until we began organizing the community to support our strikes, and they began to realize how bad things had gotten. You know, that was the most interesting thing during the teacher strike in LA, was when I was out on picket lines with parents and community members. 201, they would say, I had no idea there wasn't a nurse here every day. I had no idea that this middle school didn't have a librarian anymore. I had no idea. People did not know, because the press doesn't bother telling them that this deterioration has been going on since 1978, and now it's gotten to the point in time where we are literally sacrificing a generation of children who have not had a state that is wealthy invest in their lives. And it is time we get past that, and I am counting on all of you to do that. So I welcome you to Los Angeles. I welcome you from all parts of California. I welcome you as the leadership in this struggle on behalf of the future, not just of this state, but of this nation. Because people look to California, or at least they used to. Not so much anymore, but at least they used to. When I was in school in public schools here in Southern California, we were always in the top 7 in the funding. Of course, the school population was mostly white. And suddenly it seems we can't find the money now that that's no longer true. This is about class. This is about race. This is about equal educational opportunity. This is about doing something to make things better for all the people of California. Isaiah, yes indeed, yes indeed. So I I just continue to urge you to take the leadership that you have already shown and continue to reach out to the parents and the neighbors of schools and the communities around schools and say to them, this is our time. This is the time now when we realize that the children are not part of the future, they're the entire future. And if we do not care for them, we will reap negative consequences for generations to come. But if we do not care for them, shame on us! Shame on us. It's the role of adults to take care of the children of a society, and you know that better than most. We need to be able to translate this to the larger society so they understand that an investment in all the children of California is an investment in the future of this state and this nation. Thank you very much, and welcome to Los Angeles.